What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. Sam here with the Sultan of Sando, Mr. Gablim, and Maui Yap. What's up, guys?
Yes, been a long while. Walang news, pare. Ano
Oo nga.
nangyari?
Oo nga. Slow
Hindi
news.
parang last off-season, maraming pasabog.
Pasabog agad eh, di ba? Agad-agad. Yun yung matindi. Agad-agad. We do have some...
byproduct siguro nung new UAAP rule din. Kaya we see less transfers.
Or, nagtatago yung mga transferees ng mga announcements. Tingnan natin, abangan natin. But we do have something to talk about today. We did, if you were the coach part 1, we talked about the first 4 schools, Ateneo, Adamson, LaSalle, and FEU. We're going to do part 2 today. So we'll cover the other 4 schools. So if you're not familiar with this segment, round robin kami. If we were the coach of a team, what would we do for the off-season? Ano yung mga priorities namin? Ano yung mga rocks and goals namin in order for us to prepare for season 88? So let's get started. Maui, why don't you start with the NU Bulldogs? If you were Coach Jeff Napa, what would you do?
Yeah, I think we all know yung number 1 priority ng NU going into the off-season. It has to be that FSA slot, di ba? They were able to beat UP and LaSalle last season despite not having an FSA. But at the end of the day, to be consistently good in the UAAP, you have to have that decent FSA or even big man. It's hard to find a Mike Phillips. It's hard to find a QMB. Diba? So you have to find an FSA that's, I think, easier to find than the other unicorns. But I would lock up Colin Sakoe for this off-season. I think that's priority number 1 for NU, diba? Colin Sakoe has been
my answer, Maui. That was my answer.
Same.
Colin
So unanimous pick.
Yeah, I think it's very important, not just that they need that FSA, but they also need to show that they can keep yung players nila from the juniors division. I think losing Colin Sakoe would be a big blow to even their juniors program. They have to lock up Colin Sakoe. We don't know what's the update with Mo Diazana, di ba? Sorry to our friend Omar John, but I don't think he should be the one to be considered for the next season, diba? We already saw NU with Omar John. We need to see them with another FSA. We need them to raise their ceiling, diba? When we talk about ceiling and we talk about NU, they have to be a contender, not just a Final Four contender. They have to be a championship contender or even have to get to the finals, and they have to spice things up, diba? It's gonna be what I think the last year of Manansala next year, and maybe si Figueroa. I'm not sure if it's last year. So they have to go all in. Diba? They have to go all in.
Last year na ni Jake Maui. Yeah. Season 84 siya nag-start.
They have to go all in, but at the same time, plan for their future. Diba? And I think the best path to that is to get Colin Sakoe with that full 5 years of eligibility and him even having experience under the system of Coach Jeff, having played already sa juniors division nila for the past few years. That has to be priority number 1, I would think.
Maganda yung sinabi mo about planning for the future. Kasi I think agree naman kami ni Gab, diba? That was also our pick, locking down Colin Sakoe. But I think sabi mo nga, nothing against Omar John or even Mo Diazana, pero you're planning for the future eh. And definitely Colin Sakoe could be part of that future. The problem is if hindi mo siya kunin or maybe hindi mo siya i-line up for next year, baka may ibang kukuha dyan, di ba? Baka maraming nakaabang kay Colin Sakoe, who's the juniors MVP coming in.
He
was the
juniors MVP sa amin. 2 times.
Marami ng whispers, di ba? All around.
He was also the Pinoy Liga Juniors Cup MVP noong December lang. So, he's been dominating the Juniors League. Now, admittedly, maliliit yung mga kalaban niya sa juniors. But, you have, the talent is there. You can see, diba? So, you have to lock down that guy. Kasi alam nating maraming vultures all around. So, Gab.
Yeah, I was saying, Sammy, he's a two-time juniors
Two-time ba?
MVP. Yeah. Twice na siya yung nag-finals MVP.
Oh.
Or, basta, yeah.
Alam ko si Reinhardt, diba? The... Tama ba?
Sorry, yeah. Tama pala. Si Reinhardt tas siya. So, yeah, tama naman. One time. Sorry about that. But yeah, my answer was pretty clear. It wasn't just Colin Sakowe. It's their whole Bullpops roster. I think one of them is si Mac Alfanta. I'm sure you guys watched him nung
Ang
last
tanda na ng itsura nun, Gab.
Yeah.
Hindi ko
guy who
alam
looks
na
like
high school pa yun eh.
the kid who looks like an old man, but
He looks
like
old.
a rock.
Yeah,
He's
looks...
built like a rock. Yeah.
Mukhang senior
So I
na yun. Last year pa lang.
Yep. But he's going into his last season with the Bullpups. I do want him to go into NU. As I said, it's Jake Figueroa's last season, so there are minutes going to open up after season 88. Perfect for a guy like Mac Alfanta who can play the 4 and the 3 to insert himself in that system. I think si Jolo is also graduating. I think si Steve Nash is also graduating after season 88. So ang daming vets na mawawala sa
Good
NU
point.
right after season 88. So this is really the key. Colin Sakowe and the rest of the Bullpup seniors, they will have to go into the seniors division. Now it's key because you look around the UAAP at ang daming former Bullpups who are playing elsewhere. KQ, Carl Tamayo, Fortea, Abadiano, Alarcon, Gonzalez in the past season played for UP. So a lot of former Bullpups go elsewhere. That is a challenge for Coach Jeff Napa this coming off season. He has to secure those Bullpups, especially si Colin Sakowe. I'm with Maui. I know since si Maui picked si Omar Jan to be their FSAO over Mo Diazana because of his experience. Si Mo Diazana injured his knee. He'll likely be ready for season 88. I mean, he did injure it early September, the first game of the season. So I expect he will be healthy and ready for season 88. But you gotta get Colin Sakowe. As you said, Sammy, maraming nag-aabang dyan. All 8 teams nag-aabang dyan. I am certain of it. All 8 teams are calling, are DMing Colin Sakowe. Hey, you wanna practice for our team? Are you interested to come? What is your price? Of course, yun ang itatanong nila kay Colin Sakowe. How much will it take for you to leave NU? That is going to be the amount of that is going to be the main question that Colin Sakowe is going to get this off-season. This whole second semester pala, sorry. This whole second semester he's going to get a lot of questions about that. Because if you watch Colin Sakowe, you know na he's gotten better and better. Na, yung tama si Sammy, yung competition niya medyo sa high school, medyo hindi naman, let's just say it's not up to his level, not up to his height. You know, he's playing against smaller guys, weaker guys, slender guys, so he really dominates. But if you really watch him, he's a more polished big than a lot of the FSAs in the seniors division. Balogun. Agunane. So there's definitely a lot more potential with Colin Sakowe. For those who want to watch him, they start on Sunday actually. January 19 is the first day of juniors basketball. Or sorry, boys basketball. Hindi na pala sa juniors. Boys basketball starts on Sunday. If you want to catch a glimpse of Colin Sakowe, I highly suggest you go watch that. It's definitely something to watch once the season ends for boys basketball, because Colin Sakowe is going to be very coveted by a lot of these teams. As I said, si Mac Alfanta, I do think they have some other. Si Cartel, I do know he's a good shooter from the outside. They do have a ton more players in that NU Bullpups. They were in the finals. They were in the finals the past season, so I think they'll still be in contention. They have another tall guy there, si Solomon, who I think is the brother of the volleyball player from NU. So another tall guy. So we just saw their big guys dwindled down in the last season, down to just PJ Palacelo. Joe Golapa left, so there's definitely opening in the front court. So I do hope na Coach Jeff Napa secures the NU Bulldogs to go into the seniors ranks. Plus, si Vince Reyes hasn't played also, though one of their highly touted recruits from the Adamson Baby Falcons. So maraming bata, ang daming talent sa NU. The big man slot is something to watch, of course.
Okay. So I think that's it for NU. Unanimous Collins Akowe, lockdown Collins Akowe. And maganda yung point mo, Gab. The other guys, kasi relatively older or puro vets na tong NU team na to. So they need to plan for the future. Moving on, let's talk about the team that we did actually discuss in our news recap the previous week. Let's talk about the UE Red Warriors. If you were the coach, and confirmed na, diba? Wala na si Coach Jack Santiago. So, we don't know who the coach is. Pero, Gab, kung ikaw yung na-hire na coach ng UE, anong gagawin mo?
I'm working under the assumption that Precious Momoway is still gonna be with UE. I mean, there was a report by Nabs. Precious is still looking at UE's future, might transfer and all that. If he transfers, he'll have to another UAAP school, he'll have 1 year left to play. So, working under the assumption na si Precious pa rin ang FSA ng UE, I do think the new coach of the UE Red Warriors needs to have a sit down with Precious Momoway and find ways to get Precious Momoway the ball at spots where he can be the most effective, especially at the offensive end. The problem with Precious is he thinks he's a guy who can go one-on-one. Coach Jack Santiago thought that. That's why he ran a lot of isolations for Precious Momoway. I don't think that's the way to go. I think they should go more as to Precious, giving him the ball when he's at the rim or at spots where he can easily score. Not at spots where he has to create his own shot. Diba? We saw that a bit when he was running with Ray Remogat. He was mainly the pick and roll or pick and pop target. He was effective in that role. I think that has to be his role. Now, I'm not saying na yung development, he's not going to develop into a one-on-one scorer or he's not going to develop some offensive moves that allows him to get baskets out of isolation. Of course, I think he's still pretty young. He can develop those if he chose to work on it. But right now, with a ton of shooting and a ton of guards in UE's lineup, I do think he has to take a little bit more of a back step when it comes to playmaking and let others set him up. Because we've seen it this past season, as much as he wants to go one-on-one, it just leads to bad offense and turnovers for UE. It's not the best look. The offense stalls when it goes to him. He fumbles the ball a lot of the time. Sort of the same message I had to Henry Agonane. Diba? Pull back a little. Focus on your strengths. Your strength is not going one-on-one. It's not posting up against other players. Now, Precious can definitely do that against teams like Ateneo yung last season. Remember the first round when he was going up against Christian Porter? He can score one-on-one because he's much taller. But against other bigs, he could not do that. He couldn't do it against Tongkara. He couldn't do it against QMB. He couldn't do it against Mike Phillips. When he's matched up against bigs that are as tall as him or taller than him, he tends to not score. And it tends to lead to a lot of scoreless possessions and turnovers. Ako talaga, if I'm the coach for Precious, sabihin ko talaga yun, Precious, ito yung gagawin natin sa'yo for this upcoming season. You're gonna be the pick and roll guy. Do not ask for the ball on the perimeter and then attempt to drive and do whatever. You're gonna be the guy who's gonna be fed the ball near the rim or at spots where you can score easily. You don't have to play make in this team because typically for next season, ang dami pa nilang guards who can play make. Rainier Maga, John Abate, Nico Molingtapang, there's a new Cruz Dumont who's coming in. I think si Hunter is still there. So marami silang yung perimeter guys who can play make. And they can space the floor. So, yun lang para sa akin. I think UE will become a more effective team if Precious does less of what he did in season 87, which was a lot of one-on-one, a ton of turnovers, a ton of trying to get shots for himself. That's not the way to go.
Question for you, Gab, since you talked about Precious Momoe and yung news nga na he's weighing his options, etc. On a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, how much of a flight risk is Precious Momoe for you? Right now. At least right now.
I would give it a 4. I mean, yeah. Listen, his words to Navs were not encouraging.
Okay.
I do think he's the type that he's gonna go out there and look for other opportunities. I mean, there were rumors already after season 86 that he was going elsewhere. So this is not a new thing for Precious and the UE Red Warriors. So 4, not a 5, because really you're really gonna cut down on 2 years of eligibility just to play one season, and with who, diba? That's the other
Good
thing.
point. Good point.
Who is willing to put in to get Precious Momoe
On a
their team?
rental.
So,
Parang 1 year rental.
1 year lang, like a one and done. Again, there are pros and cons with having Precious Momoe. He's obviously pretty talented. There are a lot of cons. He's turnover prone. He's a bad free throw shooter. He's pretty
The
inefficient from the
technicals.
field. The hot-headedness, yes, the technical fouls and whatever. He's been suspended for 2 seasons straight. So whether rightfully or not, we discussed that before. But yeah, he has been suspended. So I don't know if that's really what a UAP school wants to have a FSA like that. But the talent is definitely there.
That's a good point.
I'm not questioning that.
Okay, Maui. If you were the UE coach.
I think UE is the hardest if you talk about all the 8 schools, di ba? Kasi they don't have a coach, they don't have a direction, they just finished one of the craziest seasons, I would say, in UAAP history. We've discussed this in detail in the past, di ba? Grabe yung highs and lows of last season. I think it's one of the main reasons why they don't have a coach right now also. But I wouldn't even talk about Momoe if I were the coach right now. I would go full rebuild for UE. Bull na kasi. You have a lot of players who have limited eligibility, 1 or 2 seasons. If you have a guy, an FSA who's not even 100% sure he wants to play in the program, why bother? Diba? Get another person, get another FSA who will be committed to the program, get another guy who you can play for 5 seasons. I think one of the main reasons why UE has struggled in the past or even now, the recent history in the UAAP with Coach Jack, is because they haven't had that sort of continuity. Diba? That's always been the case. They've always lost players left and right, whether they are one and done players, 2 and through players, or whether through poaching from other teams. Diba? You have to really build a system, diba? That's where you're gonna be a first-year head coach for a struggling franchise, if they say in pro basketball, diba? UE hasn't really been a contender the past few seasons. You can see that a whole decade, maybe over a whole decade, diba? So you have to build something new. So if Precious Momoe doesn't buy into the system, why bother getting him, diba? Let him move on. Bala siya. He'll lose 2 years eligibility.
Clarification ko lang, Maui, are you still talking about Precious Momoe only or the rest of the crew? Diba, remember, I think tong Phenom Basketball, I think is one of the groups that are in UE, diba? Yung group of players. Do you want this? Sige, go na. Kung ayaw nyo talaga, we're gonna start from scratch again. Yung may gusto.
It looks like that's the case, eh, diba? Diba? Parang they name a few players who are waiting who the next coach will be. But I guess you have to weigh yung commitment ng players, diba? Players like Maga on their first year, maybe you can make them the cornerstones for your rebuild, diba? Pero players like Abate, I wouldn't be surprised if he moves on, maybe to the NCAA or somewhere else. But specifically yung FSA slot, di ba? Kasi we've said this in the past, di ba? Even season 86, di ba? Madaming rumors kay Momoy. There are even rumors na naka-dorm na raw sa TAF. But you have to question yung loyalty rin, di ba? Di ba? You have to question
Malapit
yung
naman
loyalty.
kasi ang top sa recto, Maui. Baka doon lang siya naka-condo or something.
Or maybe the new UAAP rules scared him. 'Di ba? Kaya hindi siya tumuloy. We don't know what really happened behind the scenes. Why the rumors were so, but if you're the new UA coach, you have to build a system, 'di ba? I think we said this with Coach Topex. 'Di ba? It's all about building that culture, building that system. I wouldn't be surprised if UE fully rebuilds for next season. Maybe 2/3 of the lineup will not be there. Diba? Maybe that's for the best, 'di ba? Kasi in previous season we've seen guys move on. Maybe 1/3 of the roster, but most of those guys were key rotational players. Maybe the right next step is to fully rebuild. 'Di ba? Kasi it's hard it's hard when your only goal is to make it to the Final Four, 'di ba? You have to ask that question. Diba? The management of UP has to ask that question when they're gonna get their next head coach. What is our goal? Do we want to build a championship team within the next 5 to 10 years? Or do we want to be like Adamson, who just wants to get to the postseason? Diba? What are our goals? Diba? Kasi that will all depend on the direction of the team. But it's gonna be a monumental task, diba? For UE. Siguro sila Paul Lee, sama na nila sa next coaching staff, di ba? Para at least may legacy players that are committed to the system. I think that's why teams like FEU decided to get players like Dominic Miranda, di ba? To coach or even run the system, run the culture. Because they want to get back to their glory days, di ba?
May legacy naman, Maui, yung kaso sa Lasal galing.
Si Aliado tsaka si LA. who are also out, diba, as assistant coaches. We have to mention.
Kasi supposedly, diba, they were supposed to be the next coaching staff. They were the logical next step after Pumarin, but Lasal decided to go to another direction. The brother, hindi the assistant coach.
So, Maui, this is very interesting. I actually weighed on this na if UE is essentially willing to tear it down. Like, sige, ito yung core group of players natin belonging to one group. And they're seeing if okay sa nila yung next head coach. Kung ayaw nyo, you're essentially saying parang mag-go tayo ng Philadelphia 76ers route. Just tear it all down. Let's start losing again. Let's build something up. Parang ganun, no? Ako, para sa akin, I get your point, Maui, na does UE really just want to make it to the Final Four, or they want to build towards a championship in the future when the young guys that they develop eventually go become good players and become a team together, gano'n, and all that. Ang problem ko lang dun is they've already lost a lot of seasons already. This is now 15 years that they're losing. They've lost majority of their games. So essentially, when you tear it down, you're gonna go into a season that's 0-14, 1-13, and all that. I don't think that UE fan base can take it, especially after the first round that they had last season, where they were hyped, they experienced winning again. Then suddenly you're back to the dark ages. You're losing so much. Plus, given the financial situation in UE, who knows if these players, if they tear it down, that these players will actually stay. So, gets ko rin from Coach Jack's point of view why he kept on going with Band-Aid solutions season after season, which why he got some one-and-dones palagi, yung two-and-throughs. A lot of guys will just play on the short term. Because it's really hard to develop a player and just leave. Ray Remoga, superstar, mythical 5, just left. Feel ko ganun mangyayari sa UE. Kaya, it's a good idea to tear it down. Pero once you tear it down, like, kasi kung maging star, bigla si Rainier Maga, who knows? Biglang, hindi na pala mag-develop sa UE yan. Sa other team na ba yan, na yun na pala yan yung mag-develop. So, yun lang why I didn't answer that, which why I focus lang on Precious. Ang hirap lang from a UE standpoint to say tear it down because you never know where it's gonna go.
Saka nagbe-build up na, 'di ba? Very good point on that, 'di ba? Bumabalik na yung fans. That's very important and that's very hard to do. 'Di ba? Even UST is still not at full force, 'di ba? Despite making the final four, it takes time. So what will another rebuild do to the fan base? Tama, magandang point.
Quick question before I go to my point. Maui, how attractive is the UE coaching job for you? Like, if ikaw yung coaching candidate, alam natin may candidates na assistant coaches from the PBA, may mga MPBL coaches. Like, if ikaw yung ini-invite ng UE, ikaw na lang mag-coach, how attractive is it for you? On a scale of 1 to 5 din.
I think you could say, I would say on the higher scale, so 4 to 5. Not just the UE job, but because of the UAAP. Diba? I think yung if you look at yung salaries ng coaches in the UAAP, it could be comparable to even the pro coaches in the PBA and definitely higher than the MPBL. Diba? It's about getting your name out there, diba? If you are able to maximize and if you're able to compete despite not having all the financial resources, then maybe you could be a candidate as a coach, diba, for higher tier leagues, diba? I think the attractiveness of the UAAP is yung basically attractiveness of UAAP is what I'm trying to say is why I think it's very high. Despite,
yung exposure mo. Exposure mo. Kahit na you're not the most well-funded team, yung exposure mo yung ano.
So dahil sa UAAP, pero hindi dahil sa UE, kaya siya attractive.
Yes.
Exactly.
Diba, you can't say 5 agad, diba? Kasi at the end of the day, we're talking about the UAAP and you need funding, diba? If you want to win in the UAAP, you need funding. It's gonna be very hard, diba? It's one of the reasons why we always praise coaches like Jeff Napa, coaches like Nas Racela, di ba? Kasi they're able to maximize it. And to also, hindi si Jack Santiago, di ba? We've praised him in the past. I've even given him a positive grade for this season, despite that monumental fall, di ba, from grades. But it's a daunting task, di ba? When you enter a program that you don't even have assurance na may backing, di ba? It's not like you're going into Ateneo, Lasal, or a UP, where you know that maybe the pressure is higher to win the championship because you have all the resources. But it's also pretty high, di ba, yung pressure. When you go to a team like UE, it's one of the reasons why si Gab mentioned na si Coach Jack kept on going for quote-unquote unwanted play. Band-aid solutions, quote-unquote unwanted players, di ba? Sila yung parang CSB nung UAAP, di ba? We have to be honest about it. If they pick up the scraps, di ba? It's one of the reasons why we've been saying that UE is a team that's a land of opportunity. I think we've said this, di ba, numerous times on our podcast. You get that opportunity to shine. I think that would be the same case if you were the head coach, di ba? If you're able to somehow will your team to the Final Four without funding, then maybe a backer like SGA or maybe a backer like Converge, I don't know. Or maybe a backer like Blackwater who funds yung NU team could potentially, di ba, become your main backer for UE. They have to prove din kasi that they can compete despite not having the resources. That's the only time you're gonna get all of the resources, di ba? That's right. The only time UP is a prime example. That's when UP also started to get, di ba, yung funding when the funding, team when the team started to outperform, di ba? They got the likes of Rivero, they got the likes of Paras after they started to turn the corner with Coach Bo Perasol.
Okay, on that note, actually that was going to be my point. I think if I were the coach, one of the things that I would try to look for, and I think Gab, you mentioned this in the previous episode, is try to get more funding or get more sponsors, parang get more support for the team. So It would be easier for them to compete in terms of recruitment, to improve maybe the facilities, whatever, the training program. That would be one thing. And something I also mentioned the last time, make sure the pipelines are clean, are smooth, may laging paparating, and I'm talking about the juniors team. Kasi the juniors team is an up-and-coming team in the juniors, the UAAP juniors division. Let's make sure that those guys are coming in my seniors team. Talking about like planning for the future, Maui, that's where you get your guys, the guys from your juniors team. Okay, moving on.
Just as a aside from Maui said na it's a 4 to 5 as an destination or an attraction scale for coaches, no? I would say it's a 2 for me.
Yeah.
1, lack of funding would set it. And plus the fiasco in their volleyball team is not a good look for the UE program as a whole. The
Oo
UE
nga.
athletics, diba? Something we haven't said. See, UE Lady Warriors had a good season in the past UAAP volleyball season. Had a lot of younger prospects, and now their coach, another coach who's bald, and their players all go to UP. So parang deja vu nangyayari sa UP.
Vindication yan. Vindication for Coach Jack, di ba? Na hindi lang siya yung may kasalanan but nagta-transfer mga tao talaga.
Yeah, so there's there's obviously problems here with the upper brass of the UE Red Warriors. Maybe it's the school admin, the athletics admin that are not really pushing for their program to actually blossom. I mean, SGA umalis nga sa volleyball team nila, 'di ba? Yun yung nasa news article, 'di ba? Kaya umalis yung mga players. And this young up and coming coach who's supposedly gonna step up their game for the upcoming UAAP volleyball season has also left. So there's obviously some internal problems there, and so I would rate it a 2. I mean, 3 max as an attractive destination. Mukhang, kung ako maging coach ng UE, mukhang marami yung makabangga. Mukhang maraming, there are a lot of chefs
Ikaw pa.
in the kitchen. Oo.
Ikaw pa. Lagi ka namang maraming nakakapangga, gabi.
Yung ganun talaga. Yung malaki ako eh. So, ganun talaga.
Ay, moving on. Let's talk about the defending champions, the UP Fighting Maroons. Gab, what are you doing if you're Coach Gold in preparation for season 88 to defend your title?
Oh, I'm gonna focus on 2 players here. If I were Coach Gold, I'm gonna say this again. I said it with Coach Topex Robinson. Go Coach Anzay mode. You know, the rest of the team, you go in your training with the 17 other coaches. I'm focusing on 2 players. One, and I've mentioned it a lot of times in the past, Coach Gold has to unlock Francis Lopez's game. I know a ton of UP fans and a ton of UAP fans in general are going to say, oh, just an excuse for you to hate on Francis Lopez. No, I'm not hating on Francis Lopez. I want to see Francis Lopez flourish because he has potential to make it to the NBA. I mean, there's no one as athletic as him.
One PBA.
Oh, what PBA? I don't want to just get into the PBA. But he's getting older now. He's now going to be 22 years old, or I think he's already 22, or he's headed there. And I want to see the evolution of Francis Lopez's game for the upcoming season. So I want him to unlock Francis Lopez. Maybe put the ball in his hands more. Make him play, make more. I know UAP fans and UP fans can attest to this. Francis Lopez is an up and down player. There are highs. There are highest of highs. The clutch shot in Game 3 of the finals. Flashy dunks. Chase down blocks. A la LeBron James.
LeBron, no.
Oh, there are a ton of highs. But you also see the lows of the lows. Just look at
turnovers.
The finals. Just boneheaded turnovers. Missed free throws. Yes, he hit the biggest 3 of the season, but there were times in the season that he couldn't hit the 3. He was 1 of 8, I think, in game 1 or in the final 4 against UST. Couldn't hit 3s. There are games where he gets benched. I don't know if people remember this. There were times he wasn't even playing. round 2 against Lasal, got 4
Foul
stupid
trouble.
fouls.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially got benched even in the fourth quarter in crunch time. He wasn't there. So there are still a lot of things to work out with Francis Lopez. But I think for the UP Fighting Maroons' sake, for their title defense, for Gilas Pilipinas' sake, and for Francis Lopez's future, he has to let his game expand. He has to expand his game beyond just the straight line drives to the basket and uncontested threes. Because that's his game. That's his offensive game. It's straight line drives to the basket and uncontested threes because people don't want him to get to the rim, so just leave him alone for threes. That's his offensive game. I want to see him show more playmaking with his teammates. You be a connector. He's already a good help defender because he's wildly athletic. But what else can you offer, Francis? That's what I want to see. I want to see his numbers spike, his playmaking, his on the ball playmaking. I want to see it spike for the upcoming season. Now, yes, there are a ton of other high usage players playing alongside him and a high usage player coming in Rey Mogat. So might be difficult to completely, showcase that. But I do want to see more of it, from Francis. There's a reason why, if I were Francis, yes, I'm happy I did win a championship and got a Ferrari. But I am disappointed that I'm headed into my third season in the UAAP. I'm sure, we said this when Francis came to the UAAP. 1 to 2 years max and he should be heading pro. Because that's what's his original
That's
goal.
how good
He
he is. Yun yung potential niya eh.
He wanted to go pro after high school. Actually, hindi nga niya tinapos high school eh. He wanted to go pro agad. Diba? And I think if you're Francis and you're in your third year in the UAAP and you had hopes for the NBA, 3 years and age 22 is gonna be a bit much if you're hoping to make it to the NBA. Diba? There are the 22-year-old rookies in the NBA have usually do not pan out. Or if you're a prospect, you're not supposed to be age 22. So yun lang. I do hope we get to see more of the evolution of Francis Lopez's game. Again, for his sake, for UP's sake, because they will be a heck of a cheat code. They will have a heck of a cheat code in Francis Lopez if Coach Gold somehow unlocks his potential. And for Gilas, he has to get a call-up sometime. I mean, a guy that athletic, he has to get a call-up. But I think there's a reason why he's not getting a call-up. Diba? Why? There's a reason why he wasn't getting minutes. Even Coach Chot Reyes' version of Gilas, he wasn't getting minutes. There just has to be more from Francis Lopez. The other player if I were Coach Gold, the other player who I want him to focus on is Sean Alter. Now I know Sean Alter.
I agree. Nasa ko rin yan picks ko.
Jokes in this podcast because he barely played this season, and but out of all of UP centers, I do think Sean Alter has shown the highest potential in my opinion. We saw it in the preseason when he was thrust into a bigger role, more rotation minutes. He has way more to his game than just dunks and putbacks guy. He can actually stretch the floor. He was shooting threes. He was making threes in the preseason. He was moving well laterally. He wasn't getting killed on switches. Maybe positional defender, hindi siya masyado. Maybe he has to learn that pa. Handles is not there yet, but I can see a ton more in his game. And with QNB departing, there's obviously a ton of minutes opening up. Maybe Gani Stevens gets a ton of that. They have another FSA Sinokura. If they do get someone else, that's going to be crazy. They have 6 centers lined up or in prospect. They have 3 FSAs and 3 other locals playing centers. Stevens, Alter, Gagate, Udodo, Nokura, and Wilmore. Who knows if Wilmore actually plays this 1 year. But out of those 6, I do like Sean Alter. I do think he has something to show. He has something to give. His game is way more than what we saw. I do really think that. I do think that he has a higher ceiling than Gani Stevens. I think we all know what Gani Stevens provides: rebounding, inside scoring, and all that. Just a big body in the paint to grab rebounds and defend other bigs. But I think si Sean Alter has a higher ceiling than Gani Stevens. I think he can lock down that starting center spot. I really do think that. I'm really high on Sean Alter despite the really low minutes, actually barely any minutes in season 87. I do think he has something to offer for this UP Fighting Maroons the upcoming season. I do think they should start him. In my opinion, si Sean Alter, I think yung best fit among those guys.
I'm jumping on that kasi yun din yung actually what I was going to say. My parang focus for UP if I were Coach Gold is developing the bigs. Kasi and I like the Sean Alter pick. Actually, I said here let him find his confidence. Get his confidence back. Kasi tama ka, Gabi, we saw how good he was during the preseason. We know that there's a huge hole at the big man spot that QMB has left. But there's 6 guys. There's 6 guys waiting in the wings. You don't need to recruit more bigs. Well, that probably won't stop them from recruiting. But you have 6, you have like 3-4 guys that you can play there. So it's really helping them get their confidence back and developing those bigs. Kasi we've seen it. They were beating LaSalle in the preseason without QMB. With parang by throwing different centers at LaSalle. Sean Alter, Gani Stevens, Udodo. So meron talent doon eh. And I love how you picked Sean Alter as your starting center. We were probably the highest on him in terms of like yung jump from the previous season to yung preseason. Pero grabe din yung fall. The fact that he didn't even get to play. And when he played, he didn't look the same nung dominant slam dunking Sean Alter nung preseason. It looks like he lost all his confidence, diba? So for me, it's developing the bigs and helping them get their confidence back, especially for Sean Alter. I agree with you, Gab. I want to see this guy play next season. And I think there's an opportunity for him, definitely. Maui.
Actually, 'di ba? Kasi I think that's the biggest question mark for UP right now, 'di ba? When you lose QMB, how will you replace him for next season, 'di ba? It was pretty easy when they lost Malik Diouf and they were able to get the jackpot with QMB, 'di ba? He was as good as advertised. I think that's gonna be the main storyline going into season 88 for UP. Who will be the big man apparent to it's gonna be a daunting task, diba? QMB and Diouf are 2 of the best big men we've seen in the UAAP. Yung si Kagulangan kasi,
may apparent replacement si JD eh. Yeah.
Yeah, may apparent replacement now with JD. We always talk about point guards and big mans and needing both of them to succeed in the UAAP. But Remogat is coming, diba? For UP. And from what I've been hearing behind the scenes, they really like how Remogat has been integrated into the system, diba? To the point that they were even scared that maybe other international teams could poach Remogat. But it looks like he's gonna be staying for season 88, diba? So they have that replacement for JD. The next question is who's gonna be the replacement? And I have to say, we were pretty high on Alter, diba, before QMB came in, and I've liked what I was able to see no off season. A very agile, big. Actually, ang signature play ni Alter no off season was getting a steal and dunking it, diba, going all the way. I think he has that ceiling. Alter, Gab is right. Maybe of all the bigs that UP currently have, it's Sean Alter that has the biggest ceiling. Diba? There's a reason why teams wanted to get this guy, not just UP, when he was going to the Philippines. But yeah, I agree completely. Maybe they have to unlock Alter. But I would say I agree also they have to unlock Lopez, but also Belmonte. Diba? Maybe kayo, I'm the biggest believer, the biggest fan of Belmonte from day one. All three of them, Terculas, Belmonte, and Lopez have very high ceilings, I would say. All three of them have the potential to play in Gilas in the future. All three of them, I think, have the potential to play abroad. Maybe si Francis has the highest ceiling. Maybe we say that Francis should be playing should be playing earlier, diba? We mentioned that in 1 to 2 years. But remember, diba, si Belmonte has only played organized basketball for I think only 3 seasons. So maybe there's another way to unlock that guy. And we've seen Terculas have that starting role and thrive, diba? Season 87 was a bit frustrating for him with so many injuries. So I think yung ceiling ng UP will depend on those 3 guys, diba? Kasi you know what you're gonna get with Alarcon, with Abadiano, diba? The other guys. Maybe si Remogat could be another source of ceiling. But if I were the coach, basically just join as many tournaments as possible, same as last season, di ba?
Yung mag 2 teams ulit sila sa Pinoy Liga.
Pinoy Liga. Oo.
Yeah, they could do that. Di ba? They could do that. Play 2 teams, get their players into rhythm, basically find out who would be part of the main rotation. Di ba? Kasi I think that's something that UP struggled with early on in the season. Diba, they were playing younger guys over proven guys. It's gonna be all about harnessing the talent that they have. Kasi let's be real. Let's real talk lang, diba? UP has the most talent, diba, in the UAAP the past few seasons. The only reason LaSalle was in the conversation why they were able to fight UP was because they had 2 unicorns, diba? Mike Phillips and Kevin Tiambao were the best at their position, diba? But when you talk about overall team talent, it's UP, diba? So it's gonna be all about finding that cohesion within the team, diba? Kasi it's gonna be different, diba? It's gonna be different from previous seasons, diba? They have to integrate a new point guard into their new system. How will Alarcon work with Remogat? How will Abadiano work with Remogat? So I think they have to join as many tournaments as they did from the previous season and hope. I think there's pros and cons diba? And hope that their main guys don't get poached, diba, sa international leagues. Kasi I could easily name probably 5 people in the UP lineup who could be scouted and tempted to get that bag. Not that they're not getting their bag playing for UP right now, diba? But it's gonna be all about building that chemistry. Kasi it's sort of a different lineup, diba? Kasi we all know naman before that at the end of the day they will go to Kagulangan, diba? In the clutch. It's one of the reasons why they lost in season 86 because kinulang yung paggamit nila kay JD in the clutch, diba? And it's gonna be very good storyline yung front court. Baka may pasabog, maybe there's another QMB, one and done big man this off season, but for the sake of Stevens, for the sake of Gagate, for the sake of
Alter
and the others, I hope they don't recruit another big man kasi kawawa di ba? I mean, si Alter naman, they've proven naman that they could be serviceable big man in the UAAP and I want them to get their opportunity. Alter was a beast, I would say, nung off-season, di ba? I really thought that this was gonna be his breakout season, yung last season.
Regarding yung sinabi mo, guys that are pro-ready, I agree. And we've seen that happen to the previous champions. LaSalle. Poly. We were expecting Poly to be one of their dominant stars this season 87 and then at the last minute decided to go pro, diba? So that could happen. So yun yung risk with like this veteran laden team. 2 guys also that I do want to mention, the younger guys naman. Jacob Baila, I think developing him more, he's definitely part of the future of this team. And Josh Coronel hasn't played the past 2 seasons due to injuries. Hopefully he finally gets 100% healthy, no more setbacks. Whenever he gets to play, whenever he's healthy, we always hear good things about him. So hopefully they do get to play. Now let's talk about the final team, the UST Growling Tigers, and let's start with you, Maui. Big UST believer, UST fan. If you're coach Pido Harencio, anong gagawin mo for season 88?
I think yung biggest problem ng USC right now is they have a lot of players graduating in season 88, 'di ba? So it's gonna be about balance,
Agree.
balancing developing players and balancing giving playing time to the veterans, 'di ba? This is, I think si Padrigao and si Caballero is graduating. That's a very big blow to a program that's just restarted, 'di ba? So you have to balance it, 'di ba? And when you talk about ceiling kasi in the UAAP, you have to have guys who unexpectedly step up, 'di ba? That's when you get a good team. When players start to step up, when players start to show that they have a different dimension, that they could contribute also, 'di ba? So I'm looking at players like Asido, players like Crisostomo, players like Mark Lemit to take the next step, 'di ba? I want UST to harness that talent. And I want them to keep Tongkara definitely for next season. 'Di ba? There have been rumors also that Tongkara might leave or that Tongkara might be replaced, 'di ba? It doesn't help that Sammy, we saw him during the finals. So maybe UP and Lasal are also looking at him. I don't know. But you want to continue the momentum, 'di ba? To build a good program, 'di ba? You don't want to have down years when you're looking to build a system, when you're looking to build a culture. So it's gonna be all about balance. I don't know if that should be the priority, kasi it could also be a championship window, 'di ba? With Lasal and UP losing key players and integrating new players, you could say that USC is actually the team that has the most stability right now, 'di ba? Kasi yung key guys nila is basically the same people from last season if Tongkara stays, 'di ba? So it could be a championship window season. Maybe Coach Pido could sneak in one sneaky championship like he did in 2006, 'di ba? But if you're looking to build a program, and if you're looking to win the championship, basically, I would say that you need the young guys to step up, 'di ba? You have to have that element of surprise kasi it's not always that you have a team like UP where you have 16 capable guys that you know are capable from day one, 'di ba? If you talk about yung yung one and only championship ni Coach Pido, a lot of players there surprised us, 'di ba? During that season, 'di ba? We have this segment where we talk about that who player, 'di ba? UST had probably 3 to 4 who players during that season. 'Di ba? I think for UST to win this season, they have to harness the talent of their young players, 'di ba? We know what Padrigao is capable of. We know what Paranada is capable of. We know what Cabanera is capable of. How will Crisostomo, how will Lemit, how will Asido be when you talk about them striving to get the championship, not just getting to the Final Four, 'di ba? It's all about harnessing the talent of the young guys. And siguro consolation na rin si Mahmood. 'Di ba? Will Mahmood be the next SJ Moore for next for UST, 'di ba? Kasi we didn't see any, I mean, we barely saw Mahmood minutes from last season, 'di ba? And I'm a bit disappointed actually sa lahat ng Gilas prospects na hinipe last season. I would say si Baila is the only one that came close to expectations. 'Di ba? Grabe si Jaden Jones, grabe si Konov and si Mahmood. From all the hype, maybe it's the fault of the Vin from hyping them up. Pero usually kasi Gilas prospects pan out pretty well also in the seniors division, 'di ba? We saw how Mason Amos did during his rookie season in Ateneo. So, and how Bahay did also, but so the young guys, I'm excited to see how UST will harness those talents. And I think yung ceiling nila will all depend on those guys.
Ako, sort of ganun yung answer ko, Maui. But it's 2 main points for me if I were Coach Pedoy this off-season. One, focus on the development of one particular guy, si Amiel Asido. I do think he has a ton more than being a corner shooter, a spot-up shooter. I get where Coach Pido is coming from, why he gave him that role for this season. I mean, he did come in a bit late into the offseason. I think around July or June lang siya when
Huli na.
when the school year ended, saka lang siya nag-commit sa UST and then joined the team late into the Phil Oil preseason tournament. So, gets ko kung bakit yun yung role niya for season 86. I do think he has a ton more to give. I love his
I
length.
agree.
I love that he's already a knockdown shooter at such a young age. I love his height. He has to get stronger. I mean, there's still a ton of baby fat there that you can shed. You can build a ton more muscle into that frame. And I think he's capable of being more than just a spot up shooter. He can definitely create his own
Dylan
shot.
Ababu 2.0.
Yep, perfect. A perfect comparison, Maui. He can definitely create off the dribble. He can post up. I've seen it in the juniors division. That in the NCAA, he can definitely do those things. So for me, since it's the preseason, may Pinoy Liga, may Phil Oil, experiment with giving Americio the ball. Diba? Tama si Maui. Yung Nick Caballero, Fortsky, they're graduating. Si Christian Manaytay has graduated. You need another offensive option. He was one of your main offensive options in this past season. So, you're gonna need someone to step up. Whether it's Crisostomo or Asido. Ako, mas gusto ko si Asido. Si Crisostomo, more of you give Crisostomo the ball in spots where he can score. He can't really create for himself. Si Asido, feel ko kaya. So, I'm focusing more on Asido. Si Liemit, pwede. I was impressed with his evolution from year 1 to year 2. Maybe he could surprise me more. He was my pick for player of the year, just because I did not know what this guy did in the offseason to suddenly become so slim and so polished with his handle and so fast off his feet. I don't know. But Amel Asido, we gotta keep him. I think he's the star of the future for UST. My second point for UST, if I were Coach Pito, they have to get bigger. We saw it against UP, against UST. They got punished when Motong Kara was off the floor. Yes, we got Zayn Mahmoud and Eko Lowry minutes. Obviously, Coach Pito does not like Zayn Mahmoud yet. It was in his doghouse the entire season. But they have to get bigger. They have to get someone to sub in for Motong Kara to be a more capable backup to Motong Kara. They get punished in the paint whenever si Motong Kara is subbed out or gets into foul trouble. That's definitely a priority. They do have si Brix Versosa, who came from their juniors ranks. It's more of a project. I want to see what they've been working with him in his season off. So maybe he could show something. There are a ton of other guys in their juniors division. They have a pretty good juniors team who's winning. So, I don't know. Maybe they have someone that they're keeping there that they're eventually going to bring up to the seniors ranks. But size is definitely a problem for them in the past season, as it was for the other teams we previously talked about. Adamson, Ateneo, FEU, who needs a capable backup big. They have to get bigger. Yun din sa akin yung para sa UST. So, where they get that from, who knows? Si Coach Pido is pretty good at recruiting, and now they have the backing of Al Francis Chua and SMC. Maybe may makuha silang big that could back up or even supplement si Motong Kara. Heck, if you can get a big and move Motong Kara to the power forward slot, why not? Wala nang Christian Manaytay. So, there's obviously open minutes there, an open spot there in the front court. Maybe. So, yun para sa akin, para sa UST.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, it's really building for the future then. Sabi nyo nga, alis na sina Fortsky at si Nick Caballero. Trying to find the replacement for those two guys, especially Fortsky and Nick. Meron pa bang manalang brother na hindi pa nag-UAAP college? Baka pwedeng siya na yung next point guard. You already have Amiel Asido. I like that pick, Gab. I also wanted to mention si Zayn Mahmoud, which Maui mentioned. With Amiel, I think he could potentially be one of the main stars of of this UST team. You got him from Perpetual. Why don't you get his teammate in high school, LeBron James Daep, 6'7", a guy who's dominating the juniors division in the NCAA. Magkaibigan yan, I'm sure. Parehong mythical team players yan last year. So why don't you try to recruit him, diba, for the future? You mentioned, Gab, yung juniors team nila who's also dominating. Si Buenaflor ba? Buenaflor ata yung sa UST. My only problem with that is last year they had a star in the juniors team named Doy Dungo, who did not go to UST. We all thought he was going to UST. Apparently he had connections to LaSalle. His family was from LaSalle. So my question is, can they keep their juniors team and make them go to the seniors team? So that's a big question mark for me kasi from last year. Imagine if they had Doy Dungo. That would be like a great rookie combination, Dungo and Asido. So I think it's for me, it's really planning for the future. But to Maui's point siguro, like, or Gab's point, you could sneak one in this season. Medyo up for grabs ang championship this season. That's it. That's it for If You Were the Coach. I hope you guys found this interesting. We talked about the 4 other teams. If you want to listen to the other episode where we talked about the other teams, please do check out our video below. We recorded that last week. We'll do another episode. We'll recap some news. Probably not super related to the UAAP, but we'll talk about some UAAP basketball. So we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.